So in this video, I'm going to tell you how watching too many Andrew Tate videos left me with 0 friends. So for years, growing up, kind of in my late teens, my early 20s, and really when I was at university, I always felt this intense weight on my shoulders that I'm sure is going to be relatable for a lot of other guys out there. And this burden was that I have to be successful no matter what the cost. I have to make something of myself in this life, otherwise what's the point? I have to become someone important. I'd set myself these crazy unrealistic dreams in my head, like I have to become a millionaire by age 25, and if I don't meet that target then I'm somehow a failure. Like I've failed my family, I've failed my entire bloodline, like the next 10 generations of my family. And of course I'd be setting all these targets for myself, but really I had no idea about how I was going to get there. I had 0 plan of action. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, what kind of career I could see myself working. Really, I just hated the idea of working in general. I couldn't see myself doing any kind of 9 to 5. All of that just made me not want to think about the future at all. Like if I thought about the future, I'd be confronted with what the reality was, that I probably wasn't going to achieve any of these goals, that I was going to end up being a failure in my eyes. And really at the time, I was very privileged. I had a lot of things to be grateful for. Like I had a loving family, I had a girlfriend, went to a good university, I was getting a good education, a big circle of friends that I could rely on, but I almost just couldn't see any of that because in my eyes, I was meant for more. I was destined for great things, and for now I was just wasting my potential. And all that kind of started to change when I was in my second year of university. I started watching guys like Hamza, first time really hearing about the value of discipline and getting your mental health right. I was in the gym 4 times a week, and that was the first time in my life I was really working on myself, that I could actually see a better future. And then all of that really went to another level around the time the Tate brothers started blowing up on TikTok and YouTube. And I'd be watching all of their motivational talks. And sometimes when you're in that kind of down bad period of your life, what you really need is someone degrading you, telling you you're a fucking waste of space, you need to get your shit together. They kind of really put that fire in me and convinced me that I need to become successful in every area of my life. So it's not just the money, it's the looks, it's getting the girls as well. I need to conquer absolutely every realm of life. And from now on, I'm going to put max effort into every area. This is when I start absolutely going all out whilst I'm at university. So I'm determined to become the top student in my class. I'm going to get the best grades. I'm going to crush the competition. And then on the sides, I'm going to start making money. I'm going to set up my own side hustle. And I started learning to code over the summer of second year. I was I'm going to be a millionaire app developer or something. And then when I realized that wasn't a feasible plan, I said I'm going to do content instead. I'm going to start YouTube. And that's when I created this channel. And I kept that up into my final year of uni, where I was just grinding out content all the time, working really hard in my studies, going to the gym every day, just really trying to boss every single area of life. I was super motivated, this is more alive than I'd ever felt in my entire life. I'm finally sorting my life out, getting getting some direction, kind of knowing where I want my future to end up. And that was just a crazy feeling for me after just being so scared and paranoid to even think about the future. But this is when side effects started to appear, let's say. I'd say that I developed quite a judgmental attitude towards other people. I started to see the average person as, average. Everyone else but me is mediocre. No one else is taking life as seriously as I am. They stay up late partying while I'm in bed at 10 p.m. None of these guys work out. They all have bad mental health. Oh, look at me. I'm so much better for having my life sorted out compared to these people. And that kind of extended towards my social circle at the time. My friends who had been quite consistent and reliable for me up to that point. Like, they hadn't really ever let me down or done anything to kind of undermine me like some of my other friends in the past had done. But I was still as equally as judgmental towards them. Where before we'd hung out multiple times a week, now it was like I had these big dreams that I wanted to accomplish. I had to become like a famous YouTuber with 1 million subs, and I had to be making like 10k a month and all of these crazy goals. I'm going to become a millionaire by 25 now. And my friends and my girlfriend as well, everything that had made my life whole up to that point were kind of second priority to that now. I'm turning down invites to parties and like just those times where we would hang out generally to go and finish off YouTube videos or like go and do some extra work on my university projects and stuff like that. I'm like, hanging out and wasting time with these guys isn't what's going to make the difference in my life. This isn't what's going to make me successful. Like, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to regret not working harder because I hung out with these guys instead of like doing what I should have done. And as the weeks went by of that year, people just started to get phased out of my life. I no longer hung out with them really. And there'd be some weeks where I just wouldn't speak to anyone at all. And it's crazy to even say that out loud because I know how damaging that was for me. But I didn't even realize it at the time. I just convinced myself that it was the grind and nothing else. Like, I had to live by like the Tate Brothers mantra. I have to be in like my winter arc. I have to stay locked in, even if that meant sometimes having no human contact for an entire week. And despite all of those thoughts that were going through my head at the time, like dreams of wealth and like driving the Lamborghini or whatever, of course, like, I did experience that loneliness, crippling kind of loneliness and social isolation from not speaking to anyone. And I told myself that it was worth it most of the time, but there were other occasions where I folded. And I did arrange to meet up with my old friends and hang out and have those social times that I was almost craving on the inside, but I didn't want to admit it. And we'd hang out and it never felt like we recaptured that same old spark that we had before. Like, they'd be making jokes and laughing and stuff, and I'd just kind of be sat there like not reacting. I didn't find what they said particularly funny. I didn't like feel any strong emotional response from hanging out with them. Like, I wasn't really enjoying myself. And the topics and things they'd speak about, like, I don't know, like football and movies and stuff like that, in my head I was like, this just feels like a waste of time. This isn't time spent productively. You know, I could have made like 2 or 3 YouTube videos in the time that I've spent with these guys. I just couldn't see like the benefit to me. And I think that was obvious to these guys as well. Like, if you're hanging out with someone and you just look disengaged, you just look disinterested in the things they're saying, that's going to be obvious to them as well. And I think that kind of made them less inclined to invite me to things in future, which was really depressing, to be honest, because these guys were like my best friends at some point, and I'd really just lost touch with people. I was really struggling to relate to the average person, and the gravity of this situation didn't really sink in until this one occasion where I'm about to head out to my morning lecture. I'm in my house and I'm just like fixing up my hair in the mirror. And this is going to sound a little bit cliche, but I was looking into the mirror and I didn't really recognize the person who was looking back. Like, the expression on my face, it was of a guy that just looked unfriendly, who looked like he'd had enough, that he wasn't really enjoying life at the moment. And it kind of really made me think, like, actually I haven't really been enjoying life that much. Most of the time I'm walking around campus, I've got this mean expression on my face. I don't look friendly or approachable like I used to be. I just look serious. It feels like I've almost become like a Tate clone or something. Like, I'm serious 24/7. There's no room in my life for humor or laughter. And I think that expression that was almost permanently written on my face was a way for me to almost reject other people before they rejected me, because I didn't really feel like I fit in with anyone anymore. I just thought, like, there's no way I can make any new friends because I've isolated myself from my current group of friends. They don't even want to hang out with me anymore. I'm just not the type of person who's worthy of friendship anymore. I might as well just not even try. I might as well make it look like I'm just this mean person and I don't want people to come up to me. I don't want people to have a conversation with me. And the reality of that situation just set in. Like, I'm this ultra productive guy, sure. Like, I'm on my way to making my first million, but I spend 90% of time on my own. I'm completely friendless in this world right now, and I probably haven't laughed in weeks. And I said to myself, like, I didn't used to be like this. I used to be kind of happy and content. Sure, like, it's good to have dreams, it's good to have ambition, and it's definitely good to not just feel like worry and anxiety whenever you think about the future. But there's got to be a balance there, like that social connection, that human component to life is just too important to miss out on. So then I started thinking back to like my prime, when I was my most socially outgoing, when I was my most confident. I really started to analyze myself and also what my definition of a fun person is. What makes a person seem friendly and approachable? What makes someone enjoyable to spend time with? And I realized back then I wasn't playing this character. I was naturally very optimistic and quite a positive guy. I wasn't super judgmental and serious in all of my interactions, and I actually had this quite playful, almost childish side to me. Like, I wasn't afraid of coming across as a little bit goofy or like making a fool of myself. And I found that kind of energy, when I led with it, especially when talking to strangers, I'd make friends super quickly. Like, that natural goofiness was almost quite disarming to other people. It was a very likable trait. So I decided that to get out of this rut, to stop coming across as this super uptight, serious person, what if I tried tapping into that more playful, childish side of myself that I used to be? And I still remember this one occasion where I really decided to test this out in practice, to really experiment with this more playful side of myself. So I'd arrived to my local gym at kind of a slightly different time of day. It was much earlier on in the day, and usually when I'm in the gym, it's very lively. There's like quite positive vibes in the air. Everyone's laughing, and there's just this general level of volume to the gym. Like, it's never complete silence. But on this occasion, it just felt intense. Like, no one was talking to each other. It was full of guys around my age, and they all kind of had this very serious look on their faces. So I thought to myself, like, right now, the atmosphere is really bad in here. Every one of these people is just coming across as like very unapproachable. So what if I could almost like raise the mood? What if I could tap into that more playful side of myself and literally make everyone in here like have a more social and fun time? So that was the challenge I set for myself. And the secret to unlocking this side of myself, this more playful, charismatic side, was to really raise my mood, raise my vibrational state into something much more positive. And one of the most effective ways I found to do that was to reintroduce humor into my life, like laugh more, because I hadn't laughed in such a long time. Like, I was always living my life in this ultra serious way. So I found this podcast, like an old radio show by Patrice O'Neill, the late comedian, that someone had recommended to me. And I was just like listening to this through my headphones. Like, I'd be walking around with this like smirk on my face, just always about to like laugh, just in stitches at what this guy was saying. And that energy really rubbed off on other people. I'd be like smiling at people as I walked past them, and they'd smile back. And in all my conversations, I'd just be so much more positive, just carrying this like contagiously positive energy around with me. And that would kind of raise up even the most mundane of conversations into something like more exciting and fun, just because I was kind of carrying that energy with me. So to sum it up, I kind of rediscovered comedy. And then I combined that with just this general level of gratitude in my life, because I've never been grateful for the obvious blessings that were in front of me. I was always thinking about the future and what was to come next, but I hadn't been thinking about like everything my family had done for me up to that point. The fact that I had a roof over my head and I was receiving like a first class education that so many people in this world don't get to experience. Even just like the small everyday blessings, like being in that gym and being able to like listen to some of my favorite music whilst I'm like trying to hit a new PR, like, I don't know, like listening to like some hyped up, super aggressive drill song or something like that. And it was just expressing gratitude for these small day-to-day moments that we often just allow to pass right by us. So I combine those two things, just a high level of gratitude, listen to some more of that like funny podcast. And that just like raised my mood up to the point where I felt like even if these people in the gym were super unfriendly to me or super unapproachable, I didn't care, because nothing could like stop this uber positive mood that I just put myself in. And the ironic thing is, even when someone is looking like they're this unfriendly person, if you walk over to them with like the most contagiously positive energy, you're smiling and it's a genuine smile, you're not faking it, and your body language is all like friendly and open, most of the time they're going to entertain a conversation with you. So I was just approaching people and like talking about the dumbest stuff, like, oh, like, what are you training today? Or like, what music are you listening to? Just like the most normal things you could talk about. But like I said, because there was that like positive undertone to the conversations, I'd instantly just find people being receptive to that energy and it really rubbing off on other people. And I'd be engaging like other guys in the conversation, like getting people speaking to each other. And it felt like over time, I just like raised the level of energy in the gym. Like more people started coming in, and because they weren't hearing total silence, they felt more comfortable opening up and talking. And by the time I left that gym, I was like, damn, my work here is done. Like I've turned this gym from like being like so silent you could hear like crickets or something, to actually being like the fun, like uplifting place that I know it to be. So that story is probably about 6 months ago. And since then I've made every effort to practice that day-to-day gratitude, to not take myself so seriously and to just try to laugh more. And I've been able to reconnect with some of those old friends that I'd really withdrawn myself from, and make quite a lot of new friends as well. So that is just that is a testament to the power of positivity and not taking yourself so damn seriously. So that's all from me today, bro. I'll see you in the next one.